Thank you. Yep, perfect.
And
All
it
right.
just, Mayor, just to, if you want, you could just say Tilly Polar, like in the polar bear. You don't get to say the middle last name.
All right. Thanks, Tilly. Appreciate it. Folks, it is directly 6 o'clock. We are live streaming. We are recording. So if Grant will put up the flag, I'll call the meeting to order in our tradition of celebrating our flag with a salute. Pledge of Allegiance. Y'all join me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The meeting of the Yelm City Council for September 22nd, 2020 is in order. We'll have the city clerk call the roll, please.
Councilmember James Blair.
Here.
Councilmember Molly Carmody is absent tonight. Councilmember E.J. Curry.
Here.
Councilmember Ted Stillwell.
Here.
Councilmember Tracy Wood.
Here.
Councilmember Joe DePinto.
Here.
Councilmember Terry Kaminsky.
Here.
And Mayor J.W. Foster.
Here.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. I have managed to delete my agenda, so hold on just a second, please. Oh, I know why I did that. A reminder to council, though, you do have 2 links to tonight's meeting, and one is for the regular meeting, and then at a later time we'll be talking about, we'll go into an executive session. You'll use that. You'll have to leave this meeting and then use the other link to join the executive session. When we're done with that, we would leave that meeting and come back to this meeting just for the purposes of adjourning. So may I have a motion for the agenda, please?
I move we approve tonight's agenda.
Mayor Foster.
Yeah,
We need a motion to excuse Molly Carmody.
that's an excellent point. Molly did call in and let us know that she would probably not be able to come tonight.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The record will show that Councilmember Carmody is excused. Appreciate that reminder. So now may we have the agenda, please?
I think we already have a motion.
And did we have a second?
Second.
Second.
All right. All in favor of the agenda?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good. The next is our special presentations, which in this case tonight is a proclamation. As we all know, this is National Voter Registration Day. I will ask Tilly from Puller to from the auditor's office to do some preface remarks, and then I'll read the proclamation. Tilly?
Thank you, Mayor Foster and council members. For the record, my name is Tilly Polar. I'm the elections manager for Thurston County elections. This proclamation is referencing National Voter Registration Day. Today is National Voter Registration Day. It is the auditor's office goal. It is County Auditor Mary's whole goal to get us to 200,000 registered voters. Right now, we are at 193,000. So we're excited about that. We're excited about the possibility. We're eager. We have a lot of things that we have gotten in place post-COVID and in preparation for the upcoming November election. So on behalf of the auditor's office, thank you for being our partner in this effort.
Well, thank you very much. That was great opening remarks. And I'm just really struggling with this tonight. I apologize for that. But get this up here in just a second. All right. So the proclamation reads thusly. Whereas registering to vote empowers eligible citizens to exercise their right to vote on election day. And whereas the city of Yelm is committed to strengthening democracy by encouraging voter registration and increasing participation in all elections. And whereas civic-minded people and organizations have collaborated to establish September 22nd, 2020 as National Voter Registration Day. And whereas the goal for the 2020 National Voter Registration Day is to create awareness of elections and motivate eligible citizens to vote in coming months. And whereas the strength of our democracy depends on the willingness of our citizens to participate by choosing people who will lead us and by voicing their opinions on important matters that will come before the voters on election day, now therefore be it resolved that the Yelm City Council hereby recognizes September 22nd, 2020 as National Voter Registration Day in Yelm and encourages all eligible city residents to register to vote. Thank you. And Tilly, you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting if you're so willing and have nothing else going on in your life.
Oh, I do, if it's okay with the council and you, Mayor Foster, I do want to let everybody know that this election, we are actually going to mail ballots out on October 8th. That is October 8th. That's a Thursday. That's actually early to when we normally send out ballots. A lot of our decision for doing this is with what we've heard with the Postal Service. And so we want to make sure that our voters get an opportunity and the time that is needed for them to get their ballot and to vote. We have 29 ballot boxes. I believe 3 of them are around the city of Yelm. And so we do encourage our voters to use those ballot boxes during the election time. And then lastly, we do have our drive-through voter registration service, which is out at South Puget Sound Community College Mottman Center. Again, post-COVID, we are encouraging our voters to drive through in the safety of their own vehicles. We will serve you. We will register you. We will get you your ballot all from the comforts of your own car, so you wouldn't have to come in or get down to our facilities.
Excellent. You're certainly making it easy for us to get our vote counted. Councilmember DePino, did you have a question?
I did. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Tilly, for coming out here or for joining us virtually today. And I was just curious, is that October 8th date that you're sending out the ballots? Is that for the whole state or just for Thurston County?
That's just for Thurston County. Normally we send out 20 days before the election, but this time we're adding 6 more days on top of that. So voters will get their ballots. We're hoping right around, because it is going to go out on that Thursday, right around the Saturday before that holiday, Monday. So voters do get an opportunity to vote. There is, I want to say, 2 other counties that are also mailing out early. But I believe we're the first county to mail our ballots out, at least the earliest that I am aware of.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Tilly.
Thank you.
Councilmember Kaminsky.
Yes, Tilly, with all the uproar on the media about the security of mail-in votes, you are obviously confident that this is a secure system to mail in, correct?
I 100%. I have been doing elections for 21 years. All of it has been here at Thurston County. I trust our system. I actually trust our ballot drop boxes. I have staff that go out there once a day to receive ballots at all 29 of my boxes, as well as we've got a great relationship with our local postal service. And that's one of the best things that we have in our state and in Thurston County is that we do have that relationship with the Postal Service. If in fact there is an issue, we know how to get the answers or how we can resolve them as quickly as we can.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Tilly, one last, actually I see Councilmember Blair.
I'll lower the hand real quick. Thank you. I had a quick question. I remember the last thing I saw was something that there were some parties that were told that their signatures, they had duplicate signatures or something, so their candidates weren't able to get on the ballot, and then there was some kind of court decision that was supposed to be made to figure that out. I'm hoping you might know what I'm talking about. Has there already been a decision made on that, or is that supposed to happen before these ballots are sent out?
Councilman Blair, I'm not necessarily sure I understand what you're saying. If you're alluding to the signatures that were on those petitions in relation to what the Secretary of State's office has been dealing with, and I believe there was a court case on that. I believe that's with the Secretary of State's office. That has really no bearing on the county auditor's office at this point. As far as we know, what was certified from the state is what we have on our ballot, and that is the certification that we received from the state, which is that Secretary of State Kim Wyman. I believe that's what you're referring to. If it's something else, I can look into it and get back to you later.
No, I think that's it. The only other question I would have is if that case has a ruling prior to election day and those specific parties are deemed to be able to have their candidates on the ballot, how would you guys rectify that if the ballot's already mailed out?
So right now we base it on the certification itself. And so we've already received the certification from the state. There'll have to be some legal injunction that we would have to get from the Secretary of State's office themselves. We are by law required to mail military and overseas ballot 45 days before the election. So as of last Friday, we have sent roughly 8,200 ballots to our military and overseas voters. And that was last Friday because that was our cutoff date. And so right now, the decision falls, I believe, with the courts. And then, of course, if a decision is made, then the counties will hear from Secretary of State.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Tilly, one last question for me. You may have covered it. The voters have the option of using the Postal Service as well as the drop boxes. They do not need to put postage on their ballot, though, correct?
You are correct. All ballots have, the envelopes are prepaid postage. And so the voter will just have to make sure that they sign their envelope before they deposit in either our box, our ballot box, or the Postal Service box. Yes.
Okay, and one last question. Is there a way for the average voter to go on to the auditor's site to see, in fact, that their vote had been tabulated?
Sure, there is. It's our voter portal, and that is votewa.gov. And on that voter portal, you have the ability to see your voter pamphlet, your online guide. You would be able to get access to your online ballot. If for some reason you maybe, let's say, didn't receive your ballot or you haven't received it yet and you'd like to vote, you can go on there and you can download a ballot and vote it and then mail it to us. In addition to, you have access to your voting history. And in that tab, you'll see that a ballot was accepted. And so you'll see that status appear as we process ballots during the election time. Again, the website is votewa.gov.
Excellent information. Thank you so much for coming out and for your work on this very important election.
Thank you. And on behalf of the auditor, Mary Hall, we appreciate, again, your efforts, and we do appreciate the partnership that we have with our cities and town.
Absolutely.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, bye, Tilly. So folks, this brings us to item 4, which is public comment. We do have a number of people lined up. We have not had public comment before in our virtual meetings. And so not trusting that everybody would be able to utilize the little hand raising feature, I intend to go down the list of attendees and ask them if they have something that they would like to address the council on. I'm also going to forego the usual tradition of waiting to speak to an item that's on the agenda, just so people aren't confused by that. All public comment can be done at the beginning of the meeting tonight. I'll remind our attendees that the public comment period is limited to 3 minutes per speaker, and we're going to put a timer up. I will also put my hand up near the end of your 3 minutes. And if you're in the middle of a sentence, we won't cut you off. But when I go like that, Grant is going to mute you, because we do intend to fill up our entire 10 speakers allowed in our public comment period. I'll also remind our attendees that you are addressing your city council, your mayor, and there are staff listening. We are your neighbors and are all in this together, and we do appreciate and expect respectful conversation when addressing the council. With that said, I will ask Bethany Ryan if she would like to address the council.
And please note, everybody has the ability to use their microphone, but they're muted by automatically. So you would need to unmute in order to answer the mayor.
Okay, so Bethany, if you're wanting to talk, you'll have to unmute yourself. I'm sending you a little note to ask to unmute.
He just sent a chat, Mayor Foster.
Oh, okay. Hello.
Hi, hi Bethany.
Hi. So I have some comments about the water bills. The water bill's been a pretty big topic the last, I don't know how long now. I think that we need a better proposal from the mayor. From what you're proposing doesn't seem to be helping a majority of the people of Yelm. So I would like you to highly consider doing something that would help the majority of the residents of Yelm.
Okay, Bethany, we do have a proposal tonight. I know you've looked at that. If you have additional recommendations for us, I'd be happy to hear them now, or you could submit them to us for consideration moving forward. You'll notice that part of the proposal is also that the council will be looking at these water rates very carefully in the spring of 2021 just to see what's really appropriate for our service in our community.
Yeah, I think you know, lowering the rate would be great. You know, if you guys can lower the rate, the city of Yelm is paying an extraordinary amount for water compared to other local areas around here. And I think Yelm deserves to be comparable pricing to other cities around here. And I know it's growing, but we do deserve to be paying appropriate pricing, and we deserve to have water at a reasonable rate. And the water bill for the whole town, there's a lot of people that have bills that are more than $300, and that is not because of COVID. It is not because of hot weather. That is just not what's really going on. There's something that's really going on with people wanting the money from the residents. And I think city council needs to figure out what's going on.
All right, thank you very much for your comment. Bethany, is that all for this evening?
That's it.
Okay, thank you very much for tuning in.
Thank you.
We'll move on to Laura Meld. I hope I'm saying that correctly, Laura.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you for coming in tonight.
I'm actually here just kind of observing. I'm sorry if I raised my hand or something. I am concerned about the water issue as well. From rates going from $100 to $400 out of nowhere with people that don't water grass, don't have pools. I mean, have timers, you know, kids taking 3-minute showers or don't take showers, but once a week because they're teenagers and they just don't do it, or whatever the case may be. So I have a really high concern on what's going on with the water bill and just what's going on. So really, I'm just here to observe and see what the outcome of the water situation is.
All right, thank you, Laura, for tuning in. I will remind everybody, it'll probably come up again, that if you have a water bill that you you feel is in error or you just like an explanation, you can call our water department and they will walk you through your usage. If your meter is of the modern kind that gives a meter log, which most of them do, a data log, they can demonstrate to you very precisely when your water use was. And our team will also come out at your request and do a check of your meter and make sure that you don't have some leak going. Just today, for example, our team went out and worked with a customer who apparently had a leak going in their house because their meter was spinning. When they went in with our team's help and turned off one toilet at a time, they found that it was indeed a leaking toilet, stopped the water flow and fixed the problem. And because they've done an adjustment, they've made a plumbing fix, we can also credit their bill to some degree because of that. So thank you for that. Cheryl Dance, are you here to observe or would you like to talk to the council tonight?
I'm only here observing. I don't need to talk to them.
Okay, thanks, Cheryl.
I just want to, well, I do want to know, I want to know why. I want you guys to investigate why August, answer the question, why is our water bill tripled? And I've done what you said. The meter guy came. They supposedly sent me my printout, which I never got. But look into it. Don't just say, oh yeah, we're going to lower your water bill, but give us an explanation why all across the city there's spikes. Are the meters spiking? I just want to know why. That's all. Okay, I'm done.
Thank you, Cheryl. Ms. Furman, you're at every meeting, but we never hear you speak. Would you like to talk tonight or are you just here to observe? And you can use the chat box if you'd like to. Actually, I already know you don't want to talk, so I'm just messing with you a little bit. We'll move on to Elizabeth Milligan. Elizabeth, are you able to unmute yourself and address council?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, so I am a senior citizen. I live alone. I don't water my lawn. I was gone for most of the month of August. I don't run my dishwasher. I shower every day for 3 minutes, 5 minutes every other day when I wash my hair. And I don't wash my vehicles in the driveway. And there's just a lot of things that I don't do and I wasn't here for in August, and yet my water bill went up by $75. Now, being on a fixed income, that might not seem like a lot when I see that there are other people who got $900 water bills and $700 water bills, and mine only went up by $75. But on a fixed income, that's a lot. And I'm getting to the point now between utilities in the city of Yelm and taxes in the city of Yelm, I'm going to have to leave my home. And so I just really think it is a blatant, there's blatant misuse of the billing system for the water going on in this town. And it all happened in the month of August. That's a big clue that this needs to be addressed or looked into a lot further. I mean, I don't know why my water bill went up by $75. And if this continues, the utilities in this town are going to drive me out of my home.
Elizabeth, have you contacted our water department to see what's going on with your bill?
No, I have not.
Well, my team will look into it. I'll look it up under your name if that's what the water bill would be under, or you could call in tomorrow. Unless I don't want you to give your address out over the live stream, but we'll look up your account and we'll get back to you tomorrow, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see, Samuel, I think you said that you're just, I'm looking at the chat. No, it doesn't say it. Samuel, are you wanting to address council tonight?
Well, I just have one thing to say. I mean, I'm concerned about the water bills simply because I don't find any explanations we received satisfactory. It just seems kind of hinky that all of a sudden all my neighbors' water bills are going up. Now, honestly, mine hasn't gone up. I have been lucky, but I'm afraid that my neighbors are being ripped off. And now I'm wondering, is it going to happen to me next month? I think we need a better explanation than what we've received. That's all I got to say.
Thank you for coming on to the meeting tonight, Samuel. Cherie Tickle?
Just here to observe, thank you.
Thank you, Cherie. Tara?
Just here to observe.
Thank you, Tara. Uh-oh. Hold on. I guess I hit the bottom of my list. Did I miss anybody on? I know Donna's just here to observe. Anybody else that wishes to address the council that I haven't recognized?
You did get through the list, Mayor.
Okay. I do appreciate citizens taking the time to address the council tonight. I think the public comment feature of our meeting works pretty well. We've heard these comments from many citizens, not just tonight, but by phone, by email, and by other means. And again, we will work with every one of our water customers to help them understand what happened to their water bill. And there will be some more information coming out from the city on how water rates are created, adjusted, and what we can do to work with citizens to reduce the impact of those water bills on their families' budgets. That completes our public comment period. We go to number 5, which is the consent agenda, which has. Excuse me? Oh.
Councilmember Blair has his hand up.
Oh, go ahead, Councilmember Blair.
Thank you. I just wanted to talk to everyone real quick that came on and personally say thank you for coming on here. My wife and I, we didn't see a big spike. We saw a little bit, but I was watering more, so I expected it. But I just want to say I've seen a lot of the comments, especially on Facebook, and I agree with most of you that the rates in this town are high. A lot of times we're told it's because it's water, sewer, and storm all looped together. And while there's truth to that, I moved here about 5 years ago from Tacoma, and the water rates there are nothing like here. Specifically, our water, sewer, and storm bills here in this town were about equal what I paid for all of that, including trash and electric at Tacoma. So I just want you all to know that I'm with you. I think it's too high. What we can do about that, that's like Mayor Foster said, when it comes springtime and we're actually talking about the rates and we're able to look at numbers again, I'll tell you right now, I'm going to do everything I can to make it reasonably what it should be, but at the same time, we can't make it to where the city's running negative either. So it's going to take a lot of work, and I just want to tell you all, thank you for coming on here, and you definitely have people on this council that are looking out for your best interests. All 7 of us, including JW. No one. I don't personally think there's anything sinister happening, and I have a lot of trust in our public works director, Cody Colt, that he would not stand for anything like that happening. And if there's any kind of technical issues that caused all this, I have 100% faith that he will find it if it exists and fix it. But like I said, I just want to say thank you, and you're not being ignored. Everyone hears you.
Thanks, James. Councilmember DePino.
Thank you, Mayor. Just echoing Councilmember Blair, thank you for those participants who voiced their concerns here today about the water. Thank you. You are heard. Like Councilmember Blair, I do agree that water rates are expensive here in Yelm. It's something we are going to look into more rather than just, I felt the same way. I thought it was kind of a, more than just a coincidence when there's so many people all of a sudden have an increase in, or a jump in their water bill and their the utility bill, water utility bill, excuse me, with the stormwater, with everything combined, sewer, water combined, it still seemed like it's more expensive. But also echoing Councilmember Blair, I do have full faith in our Public Works Director, Cody Colt. I think he is a man of the people, and he grew up here. He's going to look out for our best interest in that. And if there is something wrong, there is something fishy going on, he's going to find it. As far as from the conversations I've had with him and the mayor, it doesn't seem like it was a huge amount of people impacted. It was about a little under 100 or so out of the 3,500 or so that we service here in Yelm. They had tremendous increases. Not to say that a lot more people didn't have smaller increases, but yeah, I would like a better explanation too of it's just a coincidence that everyone had a higher water bill in August, and it's because they're using more water. I appreciate it, but I think there's more to it than that as well, and hopefully we can get to the bottom of this.
Any other council members wish to weigh in on that topic? Because I do feel at this point there needs to be an explanation made. Although the ordinance will address some of it, I will tell you that when we first started seeing the bills go up, and mind you, this was not a problem in June because June was its normal temperature. It wasn't a problem in 2019 because the temperatures through the summer were much cooler and we didn't have stay-at-home orders. And people's water bills were pretty much the same as they always were. Then suddenly in July, it got hot and we had people staying at home and they wanted a safe green place for their kids to play. And they wanted more water recreation in their backyard. They couldn't go on vacation. They couldn't send their kids to camp. They recreated at home and it used more water. We checked all of our meters and we will work with every single customer one at a time to make sure that their meter is okay. Mind you, meters cannot spin without water going through them. They don't just spin out of control. They are water activated. So water has to be going from our system through the meter into the consumer's system to register on the meter. If it's a leak, if it's an accidental usage of water, the water meter logs will demonstrate when that water usage happened, and we can work with the consumer to find leaks or to explain to them when the water use happened, and they can take that under advisement. Then further, because we understand this was unusual circumstances, we realized that it was important to provide some emergency relief, and that's why you'll see the ordinance come before you tonight. And we will also be going forward. Again, Cody Colt will do a great job of looking into the system. He'll provide the council with great information in the spring on what we can do to adjust base rates and consumption rates, which are really the problem here in creating these giant water bills this summer. So the council can look forward to that coming forward to them in action items in the spring. We will move on to new business, which starts with the acquisition of the golf course properties. And
Mayor Foster,
yes,
we need a motion on the consent agenda, please.
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Any other discussion on the consent agenda? All in favor?
Aye.
And thank you, Lori. I'm just making sure you're listening. You know better. Appreciate you keeping us on track. Pat, are you going to be our presenter for the acquisition?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Good. Okay. Well, I'll keep it as brief as I can. Good evening, Council. Mayor Foster. I'm Patrick Hughes, the Public Works Programs and Projects Manager. As you are no doubt aware, the city has been working on the planned extension of Southwest Mosman Avenue from Railroad Street to Longmire Street Southwest. The project is collectively known as the Mosman Avenue Phase 2 project for a number of years now. The planned roadway extension will cross over a portion of the Tahoma Valley Golf Course a little over 1 acre of land will need to be acquired, and in accordance with state law, we must also compensate the golf course for the relocation of an existing maintenance building that will need to be demolished and rebuilt. 2 temporary construction easements will also be needed. All environmental, cultural resource, and engineering studies for this project have been completed. Right-of-way plans have been approved. Property appraisals have been completed. Negotiations for the building relocation have been finalized. And a plan for reconstruction of part of the golf course has been prepared and accepted. Now that we have finally reached the end of the right-of-way acquisition phase, we can now move into the construction phase. Construction plans are now at the 60% completion stage, and we are planning to begin that construction in spring 2021. Staff is therefore requesting approval to acquire 1.06 acres from Brookdale Golf LLC, including relocation compensation costs and temporary construction easements, in the amount of $509,773 for the planned Phase 2 extension of Southwest Mosman Avenue. Now, just as a quick important side note, funds for this acquisition have already been appropriated and are in the approved 2020 budget. However, because the final amount is roughly $20,000 more than the $489,000 originally budgeted, and because we've now reached a significant milestone in this very complex project, I felt it was necessary to bring this request back to council for formal approval so as to keep this project moving forward. We're planning a fourth quarter budget modification to cover that small difference in cost. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have regarding this request or about the project in general. Thank you.
Thanks, Pat. The first little blue hand up is James Blair.
Hi, Pat. Quick question. How much of that 500,000 is the demolition and reconstruction of the storage building?
I believe it's included in the voucher that's in your council packet. I did stick that in there. Right off the top of my head, I don't remember, but I just don't remember. But I can get that figure to you. The amount was determined in accordance with state law. Because there's federal and state funding involved in this project, we had to follow very strict rules about how to determine the amount of relocation reimbursement. So I can get that to you on that, but I think it's listed itemized in that voucher that's included in your packet.
I'll have to. Do you happen to know what page it might be?
It's the page that has all the figures on it. I don't have it in front of me right now, but it's the page that has the all of the itemized costs on it, and it's got a title on the top about a voucher.
I mean, it's just $500,000 seems quite a bit for 1 acre of land. That's where I'm getting at.
But remember, it's not just the acquisition of the property. It's also securing a couple of construction easements. It's for making correct, if you will, the existing maintenance structure that we have to demolish and have to rebuild. We also have to reconstruct portions of 3 holes of this golf course because we're traversing across 2 greens and a tee of this golf course. So there's some rather significant costs when you start modifying a golf course. So there is some costs involved in this project. Now it's being, a lot of this is being covered through federal grants. So this doesn't come directly out of the pocket of the city, but it's a pretty significant cost when you start dealing with modifications to a golf course.
All right, thanks. That was a big. I wasn't sure exactly what was all a part of that, and I couldn't find that in the packet. I mean, but thanks.
I'll send it to you.
Councilmember DePino.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, Councilmember Blair, this is something that's been on the city's radar now for, I want to say, over a decade. long before I was on here. And I saw that price tag too, and I kind of balked at it a little bit, but I think Pat's right on though. It's it's pretty expensive, not just for the acre of land, but for the structures, for the design fee, for a golf course. I mean, that stuff ain't cheap, and honestly, it should be compensated. I know it's eminent domain and all that stuff, but they should be compensated fairly whenever government takes over someone's property like that for the welfare of the rest of the citizens and everything. You know, I think it's a fair compensation package, and I think it's a good project. I think it's going to increase traffic movement in Yelm and help out a little bit there, especially for those neighborhoods which it's starting to blossom over there. And with that, I would like to approve the acquisition of 1.06 acres from Brookdale Golf LLC for Southwest Mosman Avenue Phase 2 extension.
I second.
Second by Councilmember Kaminsky. Is there any further discussion?
I just want to say thanks. I didn't realize that there was going to be holes that needed to be redone or anything like that. So thanks for the info.
And James, the cost for the maintenance building is $68,100 according to the cost sheet here.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I'm sure the holes, they have their very high cost too. I know that's not cheap, so I didn't realize that was part of it.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. We have authorization. So we'll go on to the next agenda item, which is the mutual aid agreement with Warren.
Correct.
Cody?
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so before you, council, is a mutual aid agreement with Warren. Warren stands for the Washington Water Wastewater Agency Response Network. What this is a mutual agreement with us and municipalities in Washington state to provide aid or receive aid during an emergency. It doesn't cost us a dime. What it does though is protect us with liability. It gives us a network to do aid. So if we can put in a request through this network, say we need a water truck here because the mountain erupted and we can't get water systems on. Shelton could send a water truck to us because they have a water truck. That's what this network does. Or vice versa, say that Seattle had an issue and they needed us to send a sewer worker down there to run their plant for them. We could do that under this aid agreement, and the aid agreement protects us with liability and compensation back from that city. Doesn't cost us anything to join, but we are required to have it approved by council so the mayor can sign it so we can join this network. I'll be happy to field any questions.
Any questions out there, Councilmember Pino?
Thank you, Mayor. Cody, does this cost the city any money, like off the bat or anything, like besides responding and time?
Negative. It costs us $0, which is I was approached during a Washington Water Utilities Conference that we just recently rejoined in the last couple of months, and they asked me why we weren't part of it, because every city around us is, and it's been around for a couple of years now. And in case of an event, we would be struggling to get aid because we're not part of this network. So it doesn't cost us anything.
Councilmember Wood.
I move we authorize Mayor Foster to sign mutual aid and assistance agreement for Washington State for Interstate Water Wastewater Agency Response Network.
Second.
Second by Councilmember DePino. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I heard no dissenting voice, so thank you for your work on that. And just a note that since Mr. Colt has been our Public Works Director, we're finding all sorts of things that had previously been, we had not had good representation on regionally. So thank you, Cody, for your work on making those important connections happen.
More than happy to. Thank you, guys.
So now this one gets a little complicated. Derek, are you with us? There he is.
Yes, I am.
So Derek's going to talk to us about on-call construction services. contracts.
Hello, well, welcome, Counselor. I'm Derek McCoy. I'm Civil Review Engineer for the City of Yelm. Also work as a project engineer for Public Works. I bring forward to you two on-call construction contracts, requests that you authorize Mayor Foster to sign. These two contracts are for sidewalk and pavement repair and rehabilitation. There's two separate ones. They cover essentially what we requested was unit-based pricing for different types of construction services related to repairs and rehabilitation of both pavement and sidewalk. And we posted those out for bid using the Builders Exchange of Washington, and also soliciting bids through the MRSC roster. We received on September 11th, we received bids for these two unit-based contract, and we selected the apparent low bidder for the street repairs was Asphalt Patch Systems. And the low apparent bidder for the sidewalk repairs was Judah of Lion Landscaping and Services, LLC. So unlike some other construction contracts that you may be aware of, this is where they were bidding for the actual whole project, either as lump sum or line bid items for these. What this contract is awarding a contract for a period of 3 years, of which we will execute work orders against this contract, holding them to these unit-based prices that they had bidded for. So the total base bid that you see tabulated comes from taking that unit-based price that they bid on, multiplying it by a sample quantity number, just so that we could evaluate. Those quantities are purely so that we could evaluate the bid and truly come up which is the best value for the city and the winning bid. So with that, my recommendation I bring forward to you is to authorize Mayor J.W. Foster to award and sign the construction contracts as follows. So we have on-call construction services for street repairs and rehabilitation with Asphalt Patch Systems of Puyallup, Washington, and on-call construction services for sidewalk repairs and rehabilitations with Judah of Lion Landscaping and Services of Maple Valley. Both of these contracts are for a 3-year period with an option for a 1-year extension, and the total cost of work, including sales tax performed under these contracts, will not reaches but not exceed $750,000, whichever comes first. With that, I'm prepared to answer any questions you might have.
Councilmember Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. How are we paying for this? Did we budget for this?
Yes. So as you know, within the budget, there are several line items. For example, pavement preservation project currently in 2020, there's $355,000 that is in the budget for that. There's also street repair and maintenance is roughly around $60,000 that's budgeted for that. For sidewalks, general sidewalk construction is roughly around $140,000, as well as ADA compliance, $40,000, roughly $40,000 a year is what's budgeted. So what this contract actually is we're setting a unit-based price for these items that gives us more flexibility so that we don't have to program and come up with a project for these annually and send each project out to bid.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
You bet.
Councilmember DePino, then
Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Blair.
Thank you, Mayor. So with the, I'm just trying to wrap my head around, we budgeted for, you said around, for the sidewalk repairs. It was a lot less than the 432. Is that budgeted for over 3 years you're planning on?
So that what this contract would be up to 750,000 is what it's not saying that we're going to spend that total 750,000. That's over 3 years with an option for 1 year extension.
But it does, like legally, if we approve this, it does give you authority to spend up to that much, correct?
Correct.
And while we budget
over the three years, but again, what we'd be paying is what's budgeted using, we're budgeting roughly 355,000 in pavement preservations. So for
yeah, no, I get that.
2020.
Yeah, I get that. Thank you. What is the where it says this will save the city time and money, especially for unanticipated projects. What's the cost savings you estimate on that?
It's primarily the savings is in the time because of the way that we're staffed. You have myself and Pat, the only engineers that are on staff. And so in order to put a project together and get it put out in time for bid for any construction to be held, if you have to do that and send each project out to bid separately, by having this one time out to bid, you have a unit price bid. As the projects are identified, it's just a matter of matching it up to the unit prices that you were given.
And it's
Gives us
usually
much more flexibility.
And this is usually a lower price than what we can negotiate otherwise.
So there's a little bit of
individual.
unknown because each project you don't really know because it has to be competitively bid. So those prices could change each project that you go to the bid. Where now we have a unit-based prices. These prices are listed on there are good for 3 years. So any project that we come up with will be the same unit price that we.
And we don't have to go with them if someone else wants to bid on that project, a particular project which comes in much lower, we could choose.
The contract does not, we do not have to award them specifically work. It's just that if we choose to use them, this is the price.
Gotcha. So there's no,
okay,
it's not an exclusive contract then.
Correct.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Council, I'll let you know that Councilmember Curry was having some internet problems. She is actually on speakerphone on my desk phone. She can hear everything that's being said, and we'll be able to hear her responses to votes as they come up. Councilmember Blair, I think you had a question, and then Councilmember Wood.
Kind of two separate questions. So is there any upfront cost? So are we giving them X dollars to lock in this contract? Or is this more like we are locking in the labor and materials cost now for projects that are to come within the next 3 years? That's kind of what I'm getting from this?
There is not, Am I being heard? All of a sudden I'm having some issues on my phone. Okay. Okay. So there is not any upfront cost with these. So what we solicited was unit bid prices. And so, for example, if we have some pavement repairs, a project, we would go out and we would have them essentially do an estimate of how much linear feet or square yards based on those quantities, and you multiply it by that unit price. There will be some items like mobilization, traffic control, and things that will have to be added into that and paid off. But there's nothing upfront that we're paying to them. They essentially, it's the same as if you have another project. If instead of sending it out to bid and getting a lump sum or a price for that, a contract on that one, you already have the unit price of, you can estimate it and what it's going to be.
Okay, so in simpler terms, basically what we're hammering down right now is through these companies for asphalt repair, like, and these aren't the numbers, but I'm just gonna throw them out and say we're gonna charge $200 per square foot, and that's what the price is gonna be for any project for here over the next 3 years on asphalt repair, and vice versa for sidewalks. And so that's the price of what it's going to be, even if 2 years from now, the market price has maybe doubled. Is that kind of?
Derek, did you hear the question?
Yeah, I don't know if it's on my side or your side, but basically,
Here,
yes, that those
turn off my
unit
Bluetooth.
price would be the same each year going forward.
Okay, so even like,
I think it probably may be on my side. I may.
No, we got you.
Can you hear me better now?
We heard your response pretty well. James, were you able to hear Derek's response?
Yeah, I hear him. I'm just wanting to clarify. So like I said, and I think you know what I'm saying, JW or Mayor.
Yeah, that's fine.
We're locking in the price of what it is now, and even if 2 years from now the market price has gone up, it's still going to be what we're saying it is, what the bid is now.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Tracy, Councilmember Wood?
In order to lock in the 2020 pricing for this type of work for the next 3 and with an option of 4 years, I move we authorize Mayor J.W. Foster to award and sign the construction contracts as follows. On-call construction services, street repairs and rehabilitation with Asphalt Patch Systems Incorporated of Puyallup, Washington, and on-call construction services, sidewalk repairs and rehabilitation with Judah of Lion Landscaping and Services LLC of Maple Valley, Washington. Both of these on-call contracts are for a 3-year period with an option for a 1-year extension, or when the total cost of work, including Washington State sales tax, performed under this contract reaches but does not exceed $750,000, whichever occurs first.
I second.
Seconded by Councilmember Stillwell. Any further discussion, questions?
I have one final question.
Go for it.
I'm assuming we're probably going to hit the 750 over 3 years, but is there an obligation that we have to pay 750 even if the work doesn't total up to that? Okay, cool.
No, it's up to that number or that number, whichever comes first. So if we hit the 750, James, we're going to have to we'll have to go back to a different bid system.
Yeah, and if we don't hit it, then it either expires after 3 years or we have to extend it for the 1.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I'll ask for the general vote, and then if I see any dissent, we'll ask for a roll call. But the question has been asked and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
I heard Councilmember Curry say aye. Any opposed? So then we have the authorization. Thank you, Derek, for the report and the work. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay. We now go on ordinance 1066, and I will actually be the presenter on this. As we all know, we've had some considerable issues with the water bills. You have it in your packet, but I'm going to read this for the benefit of the viewing public. The As discussed at the City Council meeting of September 8th, it's my pleasure to bring before the City Council an ordinance which would provide temporary relief for water rate payers during the current pandemic and in an unseasonably hot fall. City staff from Public Works and the customer service team reported to Council that the August bills resulted in many higher than normal water bills, and some which were significantly higher than normal. Both before and after the bills went out, high usage was reviewed by both teams. To date, there's no indication that there is a hardware or software issue which resulted in higher than normal bills. Through that analysis, it appears that August customer water usage was higher than normal due to a perfect storm of conditions. And mind you, that cycle is July 20th through August 20th, but it comes out as the September bill. First, the pandemic has caused people to stay at home, work from home, students to stay at home, increasing the amount of water households consume. Then the month of August was unseasonably warm after a very cool summer, increasing the need for residential irrigation. Typically warmer weather earlier in the summer is an indicator to customers that additional irrigation needs to be managed to avoid high water bills. The change from very cool to very warm weather in August meant there was not a gradual increase, and customers did not have that chance to adjust. It's also important to note that for the last 2 seasons, we haven't had these high usages. We haven't had that high temperatures, and we have a lot of turnover in our folks here, so they've never seen what happens when warm weather hits and they use more water. Based on these unique circumstances, we realized that when you got into tier 3 and then tier 4, the rates were punitive, and they should not be so. So we proposed to eliminate tier 4 for the billing cycles of August, September, and October, and reduce the tier 3 rate down to $9.41 per 100 cubic feet, which matches the commercial rate we already charge of $9.41. The customer service team will be applying a credit from the September billing to the next bill. So the result will be the people with the highest usage will be forgiven the punitive consumptive charges that went from tier 3 into tier 4, and will pay a very reasonable commercial unit rate, which has already been applied across. And by the way, none of our commercial users saw an increase into their higher rates because they typically stop irrigating in the summer. So we have Cody with us, and we're open for questions. Otherwise, I'd recommend adopting Ordinance 1066. I see Councilmember Blair and then Kaminsky.
I like it. I would like to go a little further and make everything just tier 1 rate through for residential, regardless of usage.
Second.
So I got to back us up a little bit here. Am I hearing a motion from Councilmember Blair to not adopt Resolution 1066, but to propose another solution?
I don't know. Excuse me. Perhaps it would be an amendment. Is it possible to amend such ordinance in this right now?
You can certainly do. The council has the authority to do anything they want with this emergency ordinance. If you'd like to reduce it even further, that's up to you.
Okay.
The recommendation from staff to keep the utility whole and to be fair to those customers who didn't water and didn't get high usage charges was to set it at the commercial rate. And mind you, we have had considerable communication with citizens who feel that way, that they did what they knew that they should to keep their rates down, and they think that everybody should be responsible for their own bill. But you are if you'd like to make that in the form of a motion, I'd ask you to restate it, please.
So just to clarify real quick, tier one, you still have a usage charge per cubic foot, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so then my proposal would be to amend that we would temporarily eliminate the tier 2, 3, and 4 charges and only charge usage at the tier 1 rate.
So for all, okay. Let me restate it, make sure we're saying it right, and then we can ask for a second and we can have discussion.
Mayor?
Okay.
Yes?
I believe the proper form would be to have a motion on the ordinance itself and then an amendatory motion on the initial ordinance, because there's nothing before the council at this point without a motion.
That's correct. And so
if we need to do that, I'll go ahead and move to approve.
Okay, because Grant's right in the way that we should work through this, work through the recommendation that was made by staff first for this. We'll have to need a second. We can have discussion. We can vote it up or down. If it goes down, then we could be interested in other motions. So I just heard then that Councilmember Blair is moving to approve Ordinance 1066.
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
A second by Councilmember DePino. Now, further discussion?
I would like to propose amending it to eliminate the rates for tier 2, 3, and 4 so that everyone is paying the usage at the tier 1 rate for residential only.
Second.
And there's a second to that. So we'll vote first on that, but first we're going to have discussion about the amendment to the motion, not the whole motion. So Councilmember Wood?
Just curious on the reasoning behind it only applying to if that's something we're going to do and put the system in under that kind of pressure. I'm just wondering why it wouldn't apply to the businesses as well, because as we've discussed in many occasions, a lot of these businesses are operating under circumstances that are less than perfect at this point. So I'm just curious why it would not apply down the line rather than just for the residents.
Well, hold on a second, James. We'll have the other council members speak and then we can go around the horn again. Council member Stillwell, then Kaminsky.
Yeah, I think that that the way it's proposed is probably a better option until we can do some more analysis. I think just cutting it all the way down to tier 1, while I think that's really noble to try to do that, I think that we owe it also to keep the utility whole, to do our due diligence and figure out the actual cost to the utility. And I think it'd be a better idea to approve it as written and then revisit this again. I really think we need to be cautious in this. That's my position on it.
Councilmember Kaminsky, then DePito.
I was trying to ask this a long time ago when it was more relevant, but just for my own clarity, this is a one-time temporary thing for this 1 month that we're doing. And are we using any COVID relief funds for this, or this is from city budget money?
So the ordinance actually affects the water bills going forward through into December, which water usage will go down. But this covers retroactively the water bill cycle from July 20th to August 20th, and the September and the October billing cycles.
Okay, I didn't hear that. Thank you.
And no, we can't use the CARES Act money directly for this, although citizens can certainly apply to the Yelm Community Relief Fund for assistance in paying their water bills.
Okay, thank you for the clarity.
Councilmember DePino.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, addressing Councilmember Wood's thoughts on that and suggesting that we extend it to the businesses as well. I agree. I think that's a good idea. I do agree with you. The businesses are hurting. Before we do this, though, I do want to make sure that I think Councilmember Stillwell made a good point, and that we don't want to go under here. We don't want to be we don't want to be insolvent. And so I'm hoping Cody is on here and can answer a couple questions. Thank you, Cody. Basically, the tiers that the mayor's proposed already, those are for profit anyway. You're not budgeting for that. Those are just extra money that we see. Is that accurate or no?
So to answer your question, tier 3 and 4, we budget that the average. So what we do when we do our budget is that the average consumer will do that 171 overall, or about $70 for water. That's what we budget for. So when someone hits a $900 bill, that's not accounted for, because that would be bad budgeting on our part to hope that people hit $900 bills. So we budget for that $70 over the number of customers we have per residential customer.
Thank you. And how many people were in those tier 3 and tier 4 that would be impacted without the amended version?
I'm confused by your question. How many people are in tier 3 and tier 4 right now at that last bill?
That would be impacted with a lower rate due to the passage of this resolution.
I believe the number, Kathy has the exact number. I believe it was 550 roughly. Mayor, can you confirm that? I know he saw the number as well, 550 or 541.
534 went into tier 3 and 4. The great majority, about 75% of those, were just over into tier 3 and didn't result in super high bills. The other percentage was in that much higher tier 3 and into tier 4 level. Of that, probably around 70 people were affected to that larger degree.
Okay, so about 70 people, and we got what, about 3,500 total users or so, somewhere around that ballpark?
Correct.
Okay, so what we're doing right now is helping out a very small portion with not that much of a relief. If they are spending $700 and it gets at the very highest level, the most expensive usage, they're only going to get a couple $100 off their bill because they're still using a lot of water, the volume wise. And while it is at a lower rate, it's still fairly expensive. It's going to cost a lot of money. To Councilmember Blair's point, by lowering it to that first tier, and again, this is without knowing the numbers and how much of a fiscal impact this would take. I think it would benefit a lot more people. And I'm kind of shocked that there's people saying that they're upset that they utilize water and they don't want to help out the people that had overcharge. I don't see that. That's not Yelm. Yelm always wants to help others. And when you're in that situation, when you're in the other foot, I hope that other people would want that as well. So I do think there is merit in talking further about this. Councilmember Blair's point in his amendment to extend tier 1 to everybody. And this is only a temporary thing here. And if this costs the city $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, I might be okay with that, depending on how much it is for the whole term of this till December. I think that would add a lot of relief to it. And yeah, if there's another CARES Act or another COVID relief fund, I believe that we should spend that money towards this rather than focusing on business grants and for the relief fund that we put it into. So that's my 2 cents at this point.
Before I get to Councilmember Kaminsky, and I will next, and Cody can back me up on this. When I asked him to do the numbers adjustment, he did them with giving people relief who went into tier 3 and 4. When we look at our numbers in our budget for our annual water consumption, we expect people to use up into tier 2, and it is part of the budgeted amount that we expect to get. So there would, without being able to do the numbers tonight, there would be a financial impact to the water utility if we gave everybody relief down to the tier 2 level, just for your consideration. Councilmember Kaminsky?
Without all the verbiage, I like your original ordinance better, because it seems like the vast majority only need just that little bit of help. And to extend it this many months, it's not just a 1-month thing. I don't think we should do it that far into the future. So I like the original amendment.
I just have really quickly, sorry, I didn't mean to misspeak. I was just referring to residential. We don't account for the tier 3 and tier 4 residential. Commercial is one flat rate. So we do calculate commercial as one flat rate, and that's our number from commercial. So we have budgeted commercial as a flat rate for that 941. Just for your information.
Councilmember Wood?
I just wanted to mention, I agree with Councilmember Kaminsky that for us to carry this thing on any further, being as we're out of the summer months, I think sets us up for potential problems, because if everybody's at a first level rate regardless, or first tier rate regardless of how much consumption, that 10% factor comes into play as far as the opportunity to maybe make a little revenue on their own, selling our water. Seeing seeing we're only charging tier 1. There's which I recall, if memory serves, when this whole thing took place, it was the idea wasn't to gouge people out of their money for water, but in essence was to let people know when they started getting to the upper consumptions in a period where we are conserving water, that it was more of a deterrent to keep people from. I don't like putting it that way, but it seems like that's what it was. Initially, the idea was to continue having the ability to not only service our customers by providing the infrastructure to do it, but also to keep our levels from getting dangerous. So I agree with Councilmember Kaminsky that the original version, I think, was much more appealing for the time being. At which point, as mentioned, we can look at it further down the road after the end of the year.
Councilmember DePino.
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, I think Councilmember Blair was waiting in turn. I don't want to skip him if that was the case.
Yeah, I don't necessarily see his little blue hand, but there it is. Councilmember.
Yeah, I was waiting.
Go ahead, James.
I just wanted to reply to Councilmember Wood. When I didn't include the business originally, I was under the assumption there wasn't a tiered system for the businesses anyway. I thought they just had a flat rate. And on top of that, given what's been going, the businesses aren't the ones that saw the increased usage and extra higher bills last month. It's the residential people. And the reason, and on top of that, I thought we were just doing this for August. I didn't know we were doing this all the way until December. I missed that in the reading. My goal in saying to cut it for the tier 1 is really just for August, so we can get those bills down. The people that use more will still pay more, but I don't know. It's just, in my view, for residential, the water's flowing in the pipes no matter what. If someone used a little bit more in one house, I don't see how there's a huge cost increase to the city based on the amount of water someone used individually, except other than them having a higher usage bill. Sorry, I've got a truck coming up next to me.
So, Council, a reminder that we are discussing the amendment to the original ordinance motion, which would be to further reduce everybody's consumption down to just the tier 2 level. If there's no further discussion, I'd like to ask you to vote on that amendment to the original motion. Councilmember DePino?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I still agree with Councilmember Blair, and I get the fiscal impacts of it and the concerns on a lot of you. If we were to do this for August, because it seems like the month that coincidentally everyone had a higher bill, I think it would go a long ways to the citizens and residents of Yelm that we're actually trying to help them. We're actually trying to do something for the people here, rather than just put a Band-Aid on this with just 60 or 70 people that's going to impact. As for the average Joe, it's not, pardon the pun, it's not going to impact them. It's going to be, they're not going to see this. They're still going to see their increase normally. If the lady that was on earlier, her $70 increase or whatever it was, she's not going to get a break on that. The people that really need it are people like her that are on a fixed income, that are doing their best to use water as conservatively as possible. And I get that we're trying to, the whole point of this was to make sure consumption wasn't going up, so we weren't wasting water. But like the mayor said, there are a lot of people that are at home right now unexpectedly due to COVID and all that. And so to give them a break one time, and maybe they didn't, maybe maybe it was accurate, maybe it was just a huge coincidence. Everyone's bill just went up, at the same time. But this would, I think, alleviate a lot of their issues. A lot of I think that residents would be very thankful if we could reduce it to the lower tier for everybody rather than just the 60 or so people of the 3,500 customers. And 1 month wouldn't be that as big of an impact as December.
I see Councilmember Blair's hand and then Councilmember Stillwell, please.
Thank you. I just wanted to hear everyone, since I had a little bit of a misunderstanding of the ordinance that it was going all the way to December. If I rescinded this amendment proposal and did it different, where we just did that for August, just to help everyone for that 1 month, and then moving forward as proposed, I mean, is that something you guys would be into? I'd like to hear from everyone.
Could we do it for 1 month and then re-look month by month as needed? Is that possible with an ordinance?
So I'll give you just a little heads up from the billing staff. We want them to stay employed here. We don't want them to run away screaming.
Okay.
Remember, we have 3,000 plus water customers. They've already done the work based on the language in this resolution to be able to act on it when passed by council, so that this credit could be applied to the next water bill. I'll tell you right now, if you amend a resolution to do a lower water rate, they will not be able to make that adjustment before the next billing cycle, and people will have these water bills sitting there wondering what to do with them with the extra usage on it. That said, you do have the opportunity for future council meetings to come in with another ordinance that if you'd like to do some other type of relief for the consumers in Yelm. But right now before you is the opportunity to amend the resolution that would bring everybody's rates down to the tier 2 level for the existing length of time for this resolution. If you'd like to change it, I would ask rather that you vote on this and then make another amendment that's more clear on what it is that you're trying to accomplish for this ordinance. And I'll go with Councilmember Stillwell first.
Thank you, Mayor Foster. So I think it's really important when we talk about fiscal impacts, we need to actually have the data to support that. So we can guess. I know last week I used approximate numbers and it wasn't taken very well. But I think when we're going to say we're going to be fiscally responsible or whatever, we need to really know these numbers. And I'm not against lowering water bills or anything like that, but I think as written, we should probably think about doing that and then do the research as soon as we can and make adjustments from there. I don't think this is something we need to do on the fly. I think it's very, very dangerous ground to walk on, even if it's only for 1 month. That's all I got.
Councilmember DePinto.
Thank you. The previous arguments on our last vote, I mean, with the COVID funding, that was the exact reason that I voted against it. And now you're flipping saying that's the reason you should vote for this. It's, oh my gosh, that you didn't have the numbers prepared. It's the same thing. It's the same exact thing.
I'm not sure I understand your point.
So, council, is there any discussion on the amendment to the original motion? Then I'll call for the vote by roll call. As to the question of amending the original resolution to bring the rates universally down to cap at tier 2, how do you vote? Councilmember Blair.
Just a correction, the motion was to have it at tier 1 for residential.
Thank you for the correction. For tier 1 for residential, how do you vote, Councilmember Blair?
Yes.
Councilmember Curry. No. Councilmember Stillwell.
No.
Councilmember Wood.
Nay.
Councilmember DePinto.
Yes.
And Councilmember Kaminsky.
No.
4 noes, to 2 yeas. The amendment fails to move forward. We are back to the original resolution, which as stated before with those caps. Is there more discussion about that original resolution or ordinance motion? Councilmember DePino.
Thank you, Mayor. I get what you're trying to do and help some people on this and not impact our the money, our revenue coming in. It's not enough though. It's a small Band-Aid for just a small amount till December. And honestly, we don't even know how much it's going to impact us. We don't know how much money that's already came in, how much we're expecting. That was never presented. This could be like $100,000. It could be $5,000. We don't know those numbers, or it wasn't explained at least. The money that's at least due. I find it a little irritating that in the language for this ordinance, it's kind of blaming the people, saying that they just need to consume less and be smarter about using their water, which I think is a slap in the face of the people right there, saying we're going to help you out. Those people those 60 or 70 people out of the 3,500 water users, we're going to help you guys out. But you know, we're going to have something to say about it. It's your own fault. I still think that it's more than a coincidence that all these people have had these issues, not just the 70 people or so that this would impact, this bill, or this resolution, but everyone. And I'm sad that the past resolution or the amendment didn't pass. I think we could have really made a statement to the people and said, we're listening. We hear you. We know it's expensive. We're going to do this quick Band-Aid of either a month for August or however long we decided to make sure that people got some money back in their pockets during this COVID time. And then also to revisit this next month, like we're saying we're going to, or not next month, next year, like we're going to say it, like we said we're going to do. So I appreciate that we're going to be doing something next year about the rates. And, you know, I appreciate Cody working on that for us for next year, but there needs to be some immediate relief, something. And for those 70 people, this is going to help them out. And I can appreciate that. But for the rest of the people, it's not.
Councilmember Wood.
A lot of conversation about this. I move we adopt Ordinance 1066, providing for water billing relief during unseasonable hot weather and the COVID-19 pandemic.
Point of order. The motion and second has already been made.
I believe we already had the motion and second for the original ordinance. So is there further discussion about the ordinance 1066? We've heard from Councilmember DePino.
I retract my repeat motion.
Say again. I missed that.
I said I retract my repeat motion.
Thank you. Thanks, Tracy. All right, we will again then call for the roll call vote on ordinance 1066. Councilmember Blair.
Yes.
Councilmember Curry.
Yeah.
Councilmember Stillwell.
Yes.
Councilmember Wood.
Yes.
Councilmember DePinto.
Yes.
And Councilmember Kaminsky.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. And we appreciate your discussion on this, and we will look forward to more work being done by council to help our citizens in their water bills. Next up is E, the request for waiver of application. Do we have Tammy to present tonight? There she is.
Here. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, Tammy.
All right. So, okay. Good evening, Mayor Foster and Council. Before you tonight is a citizen's request to waive the required application fee to apply for a variance. Ms. Isabel requests a waiver of the $2,000 application fee for a variance, stating that she's a full-time mother and student, and that the fee would prevent her from presenting her request for a variance to the hearing examiner. You can find her letter requesting the waiver. It's the second to the last page of your package, about 161. But Resolution 561 that was adopted in 2015, it established our application fee schedules, and then it also provided the opportunity for the applicant to request a waiver from the fee. And it lists a few times that would be applicable, and that was if the fee would create a financial hardship, whether the fee would create a barrier to public fairness, the fee would show, waiving the fee would show overriding public interest. And then the last one, although not applicable in this case, is if the applicant was a nonprofit corporation. So without going into detail about Ms. Isabel's financial situation, we do have the request before you. You can look at her letter, and then you have the opportunity to waive the application fee if you feel that she meets the requirements of Resolution 561. You have the option to request a little further documentation to support her waiver request, or you could deny her request. With that, I'd be happy to answer your questions. And I do believe that the applicant is with us this evening. Tara Rudis, pardon me, is with us online if she was able to hold out, and could also answer questions if you have them.
Yes, we're here. And Miss Isabel.
Thank you.
Councilmember DePino.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, I read through this, and I'm sure all of you did, and it sounds like it meets all the qualifications for us to waive this fee. It's an expensive fee. The citizens is here tonight, which I appreciate. I move that we approve this.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Blair. Any discussion?
Just so everyone's clear that's listening in, would we mind explaining what the variance is for?
Tammy?
The applicant was requesting a variance because she would need a wider driveway for medical safety for her son. Our Unified Development Code lists a specific driveway width, and the driveway that she's requesting is larger than that. So in order to provide a variance from the strict interpretation of the code, or to request a change from this strict interpretation, a variance requires that she goes to the public hearing to request her variance, and then if the hearing examiner approves it, can move forward with the driveway expansion.
Thank you.
Councilmember Kaminsky.
Sorry, I didn't read the paperwork. And how much is the fee, please, that we're waiving?
The fee for a variance is $2,000.
$2,000. Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember Wood.
Just so I'm clear, it sounds like we're not here to decide whether that variance is it needs to be put into play. We're here to decide whether we can waive this $2,000 fee so she can in fact go ask the question, right?
That is absolutely correct. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any other discussion?
Yeah.
Go ahead, James.
I just want to encourage everyone to approve this. And also in the future, I'd like to have discussions about repealing this one, because the city's not an HOA and we shouldn't even be worrying about what size driveway someone wants to have. So I hope you vote yes.
Then we would ask for a motion. Councilmember Wood.
Point of order, the motion's on.
Oh, thank you. That's right.
Councilmember Blair brings up an interesting question that I'm maybe hoping we can get a little more light on. There's a $2,000 fee to request a hearing, but now is that $2,000 to the city that we're talking about waiving here, or is that? I mean, I guess I'm looking for a little more clarity on the process.
The $2,000 application fee is in order to bring the variance request before the hearing examiner. When we did the fee schedule in 2015, we took into account the cost that we are, or that, you know, what we're charged by the hearing examiner to provide the public hearing and to provide his findings, conclusion, and decision at the end. And then also the staff time and cost to put public notices in the paper. So our fee schedule was set up based on those requirements. So our land use decisions that take less staff time or do not require a public hearing, the fee schedule for those are a lot less than those that require the public hearing before the hearing examiner.
Kiri, and I'm sure we are, but just for the purpose of asking, are we legally in our lane to do so?
It is based on your decision. If you believe the applicant meets the intent of the waiver, then you have the right to waive this fee.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Councilmember Pino?
Thank you, Mayor. Was that voted on by council, Tammy?
Yes,
The
it
fee?
was adopted in 2015 by resolution 561.
Thank you.
Of course, it wasn't just one. There was a whole fee structure that Tammy and crew did a lot of work on to bring forward to council and made them as equitable as possible. But within that is this legal opportunity, Tracy, to waive those fees when we see. And there were 4 different criteria listed for the council to consider. Those are in your packet. Certainly, economic and medical hardship qualified this for council's decision to waive the fee. So, no further question or hands up. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have waived the fee. And Tara, I just do want to congratulate and thank you for doing it right. In the old days, people would have just taken out a D5 at the middle of the night and plowed their driveway up. And we appreciate you going through the process, as uncomfortable as that was. Thank you for coming out tonight to listen to the process.
Thank you. I appreciate your time. Thank you. Yes.
Our pleasure.
Thank you, council.
You're muted, Mayor.
I had some feedback here because of the phone connection over here, so I keep muting and unmuting myself. So we now have reached the end of our new business. We have no old business. We'll move on to staff reports.
Mayor, can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. So just a couple of quick updates. I know we have an executive session to get to in addition to all of your updates. So I'll keep it short and sweet. One, I just wanted to let you and the public know, we'll be putting this on the website and emailing it out, but the Thurston Regional Planning Council is putting together the draft Thurston Climate Mitigation Plan. And this is something that's really important. It outlines the strategies to reduce local carbon pollution from sources like transportation and buildings, solid waste, land use. I know that's a value that we have here of protecting the environment and natural resources. So we wanted to bring this to your attention. They're doing an online open house. And again, we'll put all this information on the website and on social media. We just wanted to bring it to your attention now. You can find more information on the website, thurstonclimateplan.com. I know the sewer rates and the water rates and everything are part of a regular discussion when council sets those rates. And we're going into the budget season now. And the other thing that's on your list is the water reclamation facility, and trying to figure out how do we make the necessary improvements to that to sustain the essential resources for the current residents and future residents. And I just wanted to give a shout out to our employees in the Public Works Department who, for the first time, they had the Washington Department of Ecology come out and conduct an inspection of our facilities. And again, these are the facilities, for those listening at home, that process all of the raw sewage from the homes and the businesses. So they did something that they rarely do. They actually gave our facility and our team a clean rating. which means that there's an outstanding review. There were no corrections. There were no deficiencies. It's a huge achievement considering the work that still has to be done to that facility. And most importantly, to the people that make it happen. So I wanted to give them an acknowledgement and bring that to your attention, Council, of that great news. The information we're putting on the website, there's a news update as well as information on social media. I also wanted to give some kudos to our new Public Works Director, Cody Colt. As some of you know, we have had abandoned railways and rail ties and that steel sitting around forever trying to figure out what do we do with it. And he has been hustling hard to figure out not only can we get rid of it, but can we do so it goes to a higher purpose. And so he's found a way to recycle all of that steel and to do so in a way that'll actually bring in some revenue to the city. So I just want to thank Cody for that work. The last thing I want to bring to your attention is you'll notice at the water tower that there are some barriers going up, and that is all the prep work that is happening for the painting of the water tower. That time we've been telling you, it's coming, and we're excited. It's finally here. And so I know Councilmember Curry and Margaret Clapp and Steve, they've all been working so hard to make this project to go in collaboration with our legislators and support from staff providing technical resources. So it's just exciting that historic, iconic water tower will be painted and restored, and that work is happening now. So when you drive by and wonder what's happening, that's what's going on.
What color, Michael?
I'm not sure. Cody, do you remember? I think is it hot pink or neon green?
Yeah, it's Pittsburgh steel yellow, I heard. No, no, it'll be the same color, but there'll be lights added as well.
Oh, the same color?
Yeah, but programmable lights will be added as well.
Okay, thank you.
So that concludes my update. Unless there's any questions, I'll let you get on to your updates.
Councilmember DePinto.
Thank you, Mayor. Hey, Michael, maybe I misheard you. Did you say that was our first inspection by Ecology?
It was their first inspection where they came out with absolutely no direction to us, no fixes, no corrections whatsoever.
Okay, so they have been here before, it's not on good terms.
Yeah. Well,
gotcha.
They're always here on good terms.
Yeah, gotcha.
They're with
but
the
this
government.
This is a good reason, though. Good reason, good visit.
Yeah.
Good job, Cody. Good job, Public Works.
Good work, wastewater treatment facility operators. That's who did the work on this one. Bill and Jeremy and crew out there.
Yep.
All right, Councilmember Blair, what you got for us?
Had the finance committee, and from what it sounds like, we're sitting pretty good, even though everything, how this year has gone as far as finances go, the city seems to be in a pretty solid spot. And public safety, I made it about halfway through. I didn't have service up until almost 5:30, but I popped in. I'm sure Councilmember Stillwell and Wood will talk more on that. But from what I gathered, it's in the next couple of years, it sounds like we're going to have some retirements that we need to plan for, but I'm sure there'll be more talk about that moving forward. That's it.
Great. Councilmember Curry.
Okay, Wednesday, September 9th, I was with the Southeast Coastal Fire Department meeting, and it was a fairly short meeting, but at the time I was asked to join a citizen active committee to come up with some bond parameters after the general election to decide when or if we're going to even run a bond for the Lawrence Lake Station and the remodel of Rainier here. On September 10th was Public Works meeting, but I was able to be there, but I met with Cody the next day, and I'm going to let Joe report on that because I wasn't at the original meeting. September 7th, I was unable to.
You muted yourself again, Mayor.
So we can't hear EJ.
Yeah, we can't hear EJ.
EJ, back up to the EMS council meeting. I muted you by accident.
Oh, okay. Well, you covered it for me because I couldn't somehow log in as usual. The 19th, I was at the farmer's market. The 21st, I was at the senior center. They're planning a Halloween scavenger hunt Hunt and for the second weekend in October, and a fall festival for the second weekend in November. And Monday on the 21st, Puget Sound Energy changed 74 light bulbs and fixtures in the center's building to lower our power bill and to save power. And today I met before I left with Ted on the government committee and approved all the applications for the CARES money going out with the one abstention. I abstained on the one for the senior center.
Very good.
That's it.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Stillwell.
Thank you, Mayor Foster. I attended the study meeting. I know you were online as well, and there was a pretty good presentation that the tourism board is doing for the Certified Tourism Ambassador Program. What they're trying to do is get people involved in that, in the service industry that can tell about our local area. It was just really interesting. Actually, one of the better meetings I have attended with study. And then as I was making notes on Thursday about the report I was going to give them, I was so impressed with all the work that the city council and yourself and the city administrator. I gave a huge report, and when I listened to the other cities, I thought, what are they all doing? Because we do so much together, every one of us on this, whether we agree, disagree. So anyhow, I gave a good report. I felt like I did better than Chief Stansel accuses me of giving at times. But anyhow, I just really, in thinking about that over the weekend until today, I want to thank everybody. This is not part of that, but I was thinking about how grateful I am to serve with all of you and be able to get the stuff done, even when we disagree, which even makes it better because we can really get things done. And when you really listen to these, I know Councilmember DePino was on that committee, and sometimes you listen to them, and while everybody's doing a lot of work, we seem to get a lot of stuff done. So that was really interesting. And then I attended the Public Safety Committee, and I'm going to give kind of a high view. I know Councilmember Wood was taking really good notes. So a few of the things that I want to touch on is the independent investigation team that we talked about. I talked about last week. It's in legal review. And as we all know, when that happens, those things tend to get tied up for who knows how long. Lawyers can talk and debate language, but hopefully that gets kicked off. They can release it and never agree on it so that we can participate in that in case there's an officer involved incident where we need outside investigations. And then we're working on the detective replacement. I guess Detective DeVore's time is coming to an end, and they're starting that process so that the new detective will be able to attend all the trainings to be part of that investigation team as well, so that we can contribute our share on that. I attended I think I mentioned this last week, I attended the lateral police interviews a couple weeks ago, and I know Chief Stansel was able to and Chief Carlson, Assistant Chief Carlson, interviewed the top three. And I will tell you, out of the 8 or 9 years I've been on this occasionally, and these candidates were all spectacular. And I really don't envy them having to choose one. And hopefully we can pick them up when retirements start happening, as Councilmember Blair alluded to. And the rest I'll leave to Councilmember Wood. That's my report.
I'll clarify only, Tad, that that Detective DeVore is alive and well and healthy. His term as detective is coming to an end. And so
yes, I guess that's saying two different things. Yes.
Okay. Councilmember Wood.
I attended the public safety meeting as well. Let's see. There is a new piece of equipment, a detaining and transporting. It's for detaining and transporting individuals for their own, with keeping them safe and keeping the officers safe. It's called the WRAP. We'll learn more about that as we go along here. But they run between 1,300 and 1,500 a piece, and if Cody Colt is still with us, it sure would be nice to listen to him give an explanation of what that was like to be encased in one of these wraps.
Yeah, actually, I got to test it out. It reminded me of my military days being confined in my rack where I couldn't move and strapped down, but it forces you in a sitting up position. You can't move from that position to like thrash around or anything. Amazing tool. It's fairly easy to put onto and get on someone, and they using it for detaining of very wild individuals that will tend to throw themselves or try to headbutt stuff out. It prevents all of that. You just sit there and can't move at all. It's amazing tool. And it's not super uncomfortable. It's a little uncomfortable, but not super uncomfortable. So it was a fun training exercise.
Excellent, excellent. Looks like we're hoping to get 3 of those, and we're putting out for a grant with the Nisqually tribe to cover some of the cost on those, as well as a probation officer. And that's my report from the public safety meeting.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Pinto.
Thank you, Mayor. Had the Public Works meeting. Big thing we talked about there was a animal control contract that's going to be submitted and hopefully approved after discussion on council. Basically, it gives us a better rate. And Cody, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's with Thurston County providing animal services.
That is correct.
Yeah, and there'll be, I think Cody's going to be submitting a budget request for that, and it's going to save us money. It's going to provide better service for our citizens, and take away some of or give back some of the times that some of our public works workers are consuming on it. So that's good. Save some money. We did a kind of
You have a question, Tracy?
Just something I wanted to add. I didn't want to interrupt Council Member DePinto, so I will wait. If you could give me an opportunity to mention something afterwards, that'd be fantastic.
Sure.
Okay. We did a kind of a deep dive in the water rates on how we can improve that and make it more equitable for everybody. And we're discussing actually, if possible, lowering it slightly and also adding a surcharge that would be directly for the water treatment plant that we're going to be building here shortly. And knowing that it's going to cost between 20 and 25 million-ish dollars. This surcharge would be in place for the time they would be until it would be paid off. But by adding that surcharge, which will be in between $10 and $20, will also take down the or propose to lower the rates, lower the costs, so your water bills just is actually more affordable. So, and then that surcharge would also sunset too. So for 5 years, 10 years, whatever the council lands on, it'll go away. So after that time period, that water bill would go down $10 or $15 or whatever that surcharge is. So I think we're going to do a lot of good work with that. And we've been starting on it already, and we're going to get officially onto it beginning of next year or even later this year. Other than that, what else? I have a Thurston EDC meeting tomorrow. It's the first one in like 3 or 4 months. They take like a long summer break and catch some rays and then come back and do some business. It's my first year on it, so I don't know if Councilor Stillwell knows about those summer breaks. Other than that, I submitted my proposal for the budget. It wasn't that much. I just made a couple cost saving measures that I thought we could make on some of the budgets, just lowering some of the budgets. And the one increase that I did make would be towards the police, which would be 2 new officers. That's gonna be my priority. 2 new patrol officers this year, or excuse me, next year and the following year, 2021, 2022. I talked with the chief a little about that, and it sounds like it's pretty aligned with what he's proposing as well. I won't speak for him though; he can do that himself. And that's the biggest thing I'm pushing for though in this budget is 2 new patrol officers. And my condolences go out to the city of Tenino and Chief Swain, who is a former police chief there in Tenino, his family who died unexpectedly. I'm sorry for your loss, and I know he was an important person for a lot of you guys in Tenino. I know Mayor Fournier was close with him and made a heartfelt thanks to his family for his service and his condolences as well. And very last thing, great job to the City of Yelm Police for catching the suspect on the hotel armed robbery that we had at the Prairie Hotel. Very scary that that happened here in Yelm, that someone pulled out a gun on somebody, and that just doesn't happen here in Yelm too often. And so I was very happy with the response the police made here in Yelm in tracking the person and catching him and bringing him to justice. So great job, Yelm Police.
You're here. Councilmember Kaminsky.
It looks like Thirst and Thrives is also rebooting for the fall, so I'll be doing that next week. And Finance Committee is next week as well. And the Nisqually River Council is busy updating the Nisqually Watershed Stewardship Plan. And also, I found a course put out by PAW for downtown revitalization, state of the art. So I signed myself up, and I'll let you know how that goes. And then I wanted to ask Joe any details about the retreat. Is everybody going? Is everybody committed to this? Any updates on that?
Yeah, thank you, Terry. Well, I sent out an email last week. I had 3 council members respond back to it. So I'm not going to call anyone out here, but hopefully you can get that response to me tomorrow or the next day so I can give a final number. We have a majority of council members, though, that said they're going to go. So just a few more that I'm waiting to hear response on. And yeah, thank you for your suggestions. Also, Molly, thank you for your suggestions too that you made about it. And hopefully we can talk about, after everyone's committed, we can talk about what we're actually going to do at our next study session, hopefully.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Council. For my report, clearly the majority of our energy this past week has been dealing with the water bills, working with customers. In addition, we've had negotiations with the FOP and prepping for our negotiations with the Teamsters. In addition, I attended the EMS Council meeting for Councilmember Curry. Notably from there, they have been able to restart their EMT training with COVID modifications, and some of the classes are being held right here at the Southeast Thurston Fire Authority station, which is nice. And then also that the cardiac arrest field survival rates are still close to 70%, which is phenomenal and nationally. Walk out of hospital, of course, is lower, but still incredible. There was a 10% to 15% overall reduction in call volume during the early stages of the pandemic. Those numbers have gone back to what is near normal. We had a ribbon cutting for a new business in Yelm. The grocery outlet came in. Congratulations and welcome to the Vineyard family. And I'll tell you 2 things. One is that it was particularly nice that they were able to occupy the Sunbird space so quickly, and that they actually even hired some of the employees that had been let go by Sunbird during the closure of that store. And that they said, as I hear this a lot, that working with the city was amazing, very supportive, and they appreciate being able to get their store open so quickly. I sat in on AWC's Racial Equity Seminar #2 and participated in a mayor's exchange. The big takeaway for me from that was we got asked, City of Yelm, I got a lot of questions on how we were able to hit the virtual road running as we were, as many cities struggled with that. And reflection back on council's decision to adopt budgets 3 years ago that gave more staff to our information and technologies team, who were able then to provide us with the software and training to be able to do what we did remotely so well. At the study meeting, I appreciate Tad and Grant holding forth. We do look good at those meetings. There's 2 things left. This is Train Safety Awareness Week, and a reminder from BNSF, when you're approaching a train track, always expect a train. Don't rely completely on those warnings. That's when bad things happen. Trains don't follow published schedules, they just show up. A typical freight train can take more than a mile to stop, and the train that you see coming is likely closer and faster moving than you think. The only safe place to cross the tracks is at designated crossings, and being on railroad tracks and property is not only dangerous, it's illegal. Lastly, a reminder that Bloodworks Northwest we're hosting a blood drive for them on October 1st and 2nd at the community center. Go to bloodworksnorthwest.org and you can make an appointment to donate blood yourself. And that is my report. I will now move us into, Councilmember Wood. I was muted and you didn't hear anything.
No. I heard it all. It was great. And what I wanted to comment on something that Councilmember DePinto mentioned about when he brought up the animal control services. I just wanted to let the rest of the council know, if you haven't had a chance to get out to Public Works to see the facilities out there for our lost and scared animals that are just trying to get home, it is something else. It really is. We're looking out for our animals. And I talked to Cody a little bit about it, and he was able to, I'm not sure who negotiated the deal, but got us a pretty good deal on a pretty good doesn't cover it. A fantastic looking facilities. It looks like the operations are going to work really smoothly and eliminate hours of need of the employees to maintain. So if you haven't had a chance to go out and take a look at it, it really is impressive. That's all I had.
That's cool. Councilmember DePinto, did you have something? Oh, okay. We are now going to move into an executive session for the purpose of discussing a potential real estate transaction, which is one of the allowable reasons for an executive session. We expect to take no more than 45 minutes, so we'll go into it at 8:01. We will be back no later than 8:46 and potentially earlier. So attendees, you're welcome to stay here in the room virtually, and we will come back. If we need more than the 45 minutes, we will come on and let you know that we're extending the time. So at this point, council, if you'll leave this meeting, go to the link that was sent to you for the executive session. We will see you there shortly.
And for those watching, just turn off. It's nothing. You're just going to watch a blank screen for as long as we come back.
And when we come back, I think they race to say move to adjourn. So
yeah, nothing to miss.
Nothing there. Okay.
See you later.
See you there.
Good night, Terry.
Tell me how it goes.
I can't. That's the purpose of an executive session, but we'll talk to you.
Okay, bye.